Wow, you really made Grandpa proud, didn't you? My mother-in-law sneered, running her manicured fingers across the cracked wall paint. He must have thought his rich granddaughter-in-law deserved better than this shoebox. Her son, my husband Ethan, laughed softly beside her. Come on, Mom. It's temporary. She's lucky we even found a place this quick. Lucky. That word stung more than it should have. Hi everyone, my name is Mira Alden and this little rented apartment with its flickering hallway light and the faint smell of old plaster, was supposed to be my new beginning. But standing there between Ethan and his mother, I felt more like an outsider in my own life. When Grandpa bought us an apartment as a wedding gift, I was touched. He was a proud man, a builder who started from dust and made an empire of glass and steel. A roof for you to build a life under, he'd said. But after our wedding, Ethan convinced me that selling it and renting for a while would give us flexibility. He said it would be smarter to wait before we settled. Except, we never saw a cent from that sale. Every time I asked, Ethan brushed me off, saying the deal was complicated, the money tied up, taxes, this paperwork that. So here we were, living in a musty rented apartment, while my name on Grandpa's deed had somehow vanished from all family talk. That afternoon the air felt heavy, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. Ethan's phone buzzed. He looked at it, frowned, then froze. His mother's face lost all color. What is it? I asked. He swallowed hard. Grandpa's here. Thought he was joking. But then came a knock, firm, commanding. The kind that carried generations of power behind it. When I opened the door, there he was. My grandfather, immaculately dressed, his silver hair perfectly combed, his walking cane glinting like it was carved from authority itself. He stepped inside, eyes sweeping the small living room, the second-hand furniture, the cheap curtains. Then he turned to Ethan and his mother. So, he said quietly, you don't like the apartment I bought for you? Ethan's jaw tightened. His mother's lips parted, no sound coming out. And just then I realized, Grandpa already knew. Grandpa's gaze cut through the room like a blade. No one dared to breathe. Ethan tried to force a smile, his voice shaky. Oh sir, it's not that. We just thought. You thought what? Grandpa interrupted, calm but cold. That I'd never find out? Ethan's mother stepped forward, wringing her hands. Mr. Alden, please, it's a misunderstanding. Ethan wanted to surprise Mira with renovations, so they temporarily rented this place. Grandpa's eyes shifted to me. Is that true, Mira? My throat tightened. All I could manage was a whisper. No, Grandpa. We sold the apartment. The silence that followed felt like a storm holding its breath. Then Grandpa turned his gaze back to Ethan, his voice low and sharp. You sold property under my name without permission? Ethan's face turned white. It was Myra's too. We were married, I thought. You thought wrong, Grandpa said, his cane tapping once against the floor. You sold what wasn't yours to sell. I'd never seen my grandfather's face like that. Disappointment mixed with quiet rage. It wasn't loud. It was worse. He looked at me again, softer this time. And you, my dear, didn't think to tell me? Tears pricked my eyes. I trusted him. He said it was best for us. Grandpa nodded slowly, like a man who just confirmed something painful. Then without a word he reached into his coat and pulled out an envelope. Thick, sealed, marked with my name. He placed it on the table. You'll need this tomorrow morning. Be at my office at 10 sharp. Ethan tried to speak again, but Grandpa didn't look at him. He just said, the truth always finds its way home even when buried under lies. Then he walked out. That night the apartment felt smaller than ever. Ethan paced back and forth, running his hands through his hair. You made me look like a liar in front of him, he snapped. I didn't reply. I just stared at the envelope on the table, my name written in Grandpa's sharp, deliberate handwriting. His mother glared at me. You had to act all innocent, didn't you? Always playing the victim. Do you realize what you've done? You've turned your husband against his own family. I almost laughed at the irony. His own family. The only person who had treated me like family was the man they betrayed. Ethan finally stopped pacing. You're not going to that meeting tomorrow. Try stopping me, I said quietly. He looked at me like he didn't recognize the woman standing before him. Maybe he didn't. I didn't either. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing Grandpa's voice. The truth always finds its way home. By morning Ethan's mother was gone, probably to warn someone to control the story before I could. Ethan sat at the table, head in his hands. "Mira, just let me fix this," he muttered. "We'll tell him it was a misunderstanding." "No," I said, picking up the envelope. "You had your chance." He slammed his fist on the table. "You think he'll choose you over me? Over his own grandson-in-law?" I slipped on my coat and looked at him one last time. "He's not choosing between us, Ethan. He's choosing between truth and theft." As I closed the door behind me, I heard him shout something, but the sound faded under the hum of the city. All I could hear was the steady thump of my heart. Something was about to change. Grandpa's office sat on the top floor of Alden Industries, the kind of place where silence itself felt expensive. His assistant led me into the glass-walled conference room, where sunlight spilled over marble floors. Grandpa was already there, reading through a file. He looked up and gestured for me to sit. "Mira," he said, calm as ever, "do you know what this document is?" I shook my head. "It's the deed to the apartment I bought you. And according to this," he slid a page toward me, "your signature was forged." My stomach dropped. "Forged?" "But Ethan said." He raised his hand. "I know what Ethan said. My lawyer verified everything this morning. He used your name and your mother-in-law helped him transfer ownership through a proxy buyer. The money went to a private account. His." I felt the air leave my lungs. "You mean they stole it?" Grandpa nodded slowly. "And then made you live in this rented place to keep you quiet." He leaned back, studying me. "Now I can have them arrested today. But something tells me that's not the kind of justice you want." I swallowed hard, shaking. "I just want them to know what it feels like. To lose everything they lied to keep." A small, proud smile appeared on his face. "Good. I hoped you'd say that." He pushed a second envelope toward me. "Inside you'll find documents for something far greater than that apartment. You'll understand when you open it. But don't act yet. Let them hang themselves a little longer." I stared at the envelope, my heart pounding. Grandpa stood, his voice lowering to a near whisper. "Revenge, my dear, is most powerful when they never see it coming." When I got home, Ethan and his mother were sitting together, whispering in the corner. The moment they saw me, the whispering stopped. Ethan forced a smile. "So, what did Grandpa say?" I placed my bag down gently. "He just asked me to come by the house tomorrow. Said he had something to show us all." His mother's eyes darted nervously. "He invited us?" "Yes," I lied, keeping my voice calm. "He said the family should be together for it." They exchanged glances. Exactly what I wanted. Let the panic simmer. That night, Ethan hovered around me like a man walking on glass. He tried to sound affectionate, even made dinner, something he hadn't done in months. "You know I love you, right?" he said softly, handing me a plate. "Of course," I replied, watching the fork tremble slightly in his hand. "But love doesn't erase lies." He blinked, his face tightening. "What do you mean?" I smiled faintly. "Just something Grandpa said." He didn't ask again. The next morning I stood by the mirror, dressed neatly in beige and black, the same colors my grandfather used to say looked powerful but merciful. I slipped the second envelope into my purse. Ethan appeared in the doorway. "You ready?" "For what?" I asked. "For meeting your grandfather. You said he wanted to see us." I turned to him, expression unreadable. "Oh, he'll see you." The drive was quiet. My heart raced, but my face stayed composed. Outside the Alden estate, Grandpa's car was already parked, gleaming like a symbol of everything Ethan thought he owned. Ethan took a deep breath, straightened his collar and muttered, "We'll fix this." I smiled, stepping out first. "No, Ethan. You'll finally face this." Grandpa's mansion looked different that morning. Colder somehow. The long corridor echoed with every step we took. Ethan's mother clung to her purse like it was a lifeline, whispering, "Just stay calm, he won't do anything drastic." But when we entered the drawing room, the atmosphere said otherwise. Grandpa sat by the fireplace, two men beside him, both in tailored suits. One of them I recognized from the office yesterday, his lawyer. "Good morning," Grandpa said, not looking up from his cup. "Please have a seat." Ethan tried a nervous chuckle. "Sir, about the misunderstanding." Grandpa finally met his eyes. "Ah, yes. The misunderstanding that involved forged documents, stolen funds, and lies to my granddaughter." The lawyer placed a file on the table, opening it to reveal copies of bank transfers, property papers, and emails, all with Ethan's name. His mother's face turned ashen. I can explain, Ethan stammered. Don't, Grandpa interrupted sharply. The police already have everything they need. But I haven't called them yet. He turned to me. Because Mira deserves a choice. I looked at Ethan, the man I once trusted, now trembling in his expensive suit. What choice? I asked quietly. Grandpa's gaze softened. You can let me handle this legally, or you can decide how they'll learn their lesson. Ethan grabbed my hand suddenly. Mira, please, you know I didn't mean. I pulled my hand back. You didn't mean to get caught, Ethan. His mother started crying, muttering prayers under her breath. Grandpa stood slowly. You have until tonight, Mira. My car will pick you up at 8. If I don't hear from you by then, the law will take its course. He nodded to the guards. Show them out. The ride home was silent except for the faint hum of the engine. Ethan's mother sniffled the entire way, while Ethan sat motionless beside me, staring out the window. His voice finally broke through the quiet. You wouldn't really let him press charges, right? Mira, you wouldn't destroy our lives like that. I looked at him, really looked. The same man who once promised to build a future with me had sold my trust for money. You already destroyed it, Ethan. I'm just choosing what happens next. When we reached the apartment, he grabbed my wrist. If you tell him to call the police, I'll lose everything. You think that'll make you happy? I pulled free, calm but firm. No. But maybe it'll make me free. He exhaled shakily, then stormed into the bedroom, slamming the door. I could hear drawers opening, the sound of something metallic. Maybe his watch, maybe something else. I didn't care anymore. As the clock struck 7, I sat on the couch, the envelope from Grandpa still unopened beside me. My hands trembled as I finally tore it open. Inside were 2 documents. The first, a full transfer of ownership for the apartment Ethan had sold, now legally reinstated in my name. The second, a title deed for another property, one I didn't recognize. At the bottom, a note in Grandpa's handwriting. This is the place you'll start again. Not as a wife. As an Alden. Tears blurred my vision. He'd already made the choice for me. Justice, not revenge. At exactly 8, headlights flashed through the window. Grandpa's car was waiting. I took a deep breath, picked up the papers and whispered to the empty room. Let's finish this. When the car stopped in front of the Alden mansion, I could already see them, Ethan and his mother, standing on the steps, faces pale under the porch light. Grandpa waited beside the fountain, his posture tall, unwavering. Are you ready? He asked quietly as I stepped out. I nodded. Yes. He handed me a folder. Then read it. I opened it and began, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. This is a legal notice revoking all financial access, trust benefits and business affiliations held by Ethan Cross and Lillian Cross. Effective immediately. Ethan flinched. You can't do this. I didn't, I interrupted softly. You did when you forged my name. Grandpa stepped forward. You thought you could steal from my granddaughter and from me? You've underestimated the Aldens. Lillian tried to speak, but the lawyer appeared beside her, handing over a separate envelope, eviction papers. Her voice broke into a sob. Please, Mr. Alden, we have nowhere to go. Grandpa's reply was quiet, almost sorrowful. You had a home. You traded it for greed. I turned to Ethan. For a long second I just looked at him, the man who once held my heart like a promise and crushed it like paper. I'm not angry anymore, I said. Because what you lost today wasn't money. It was your mask. He tried to step closer, but I walked away, leaving his silence hanging like fog. Grandpa placed a hand on my shoulder as we reached the car. Proud? I asked softly. He smiled faintly. No. Relieved. You chose dignity over destruction. That's real power, Mira. As the car pulled away, I looked back one last time, the mansion glowing behind us, 2 figures shrinking in the cold light. Justice had been served.